First of all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the inaugural presentation of the English 400 Senior Seminar class. This class is made up of both a written component and oral presentations, but we've never had it public. And from now on, we want to start a tradition where we let our students share what they are doing in the class with the rest of the Tuskegee University community. This year, the focus is, as you see, on literature and democracy, and it's all inspired by Dr. Zanis Bond, who was in Chile for the summer on an Fulbright Hays Summer Institute, and she's prepared the students to give their presentations on different aspects of Chilean literature as it relates to democracy and the fight for it. And so you'll be hearing from these students as they do their presentation. We thank you very much for taking the time to come. And now I'll call on Dr. Indi, who is the chair of a committee within the department that puts out these interdisciplinary seminar series, to introduce the members of the committee and say a few words before we have two of our students, Mr. Barry Howard and Ms. Kennedy Harris, introduce Dr. Bond. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Yes. It is always morning in my kingdom. Those of you who've taken my classes know very well. I'm just very, very delighted to be here to see all of you turning out for this seminar series. It is an effort that started as a departmental effort. Now it is a college-wide effort. And as a college-wide effort, some of you who might be biology major, math, physics, chemistry, you would end up maybe having to come and present your papers too. And I would like I see some of the committee members in the audience. Dr. Evans is one of our members. The other committee members, I think they should still be on their way. But should you want to know who these committee members are, we have Dr. Zachary Andrew from sociology, Dr. Barbara Akamilos in psychology, Dr. Eze Raymond from math, and Dr. Tam from physics, as well as Dr. Abogri Daniel from chemistry and biology. So you would be having the opportunity to come to this kind of presentations very often, because we think it is very, very important to keep the scholarship or scholastic activities of this university very dynamic. We cannot just let it be. Well, you meet us in the class. Besides classroom teaching, we do a lot on the side, okay? And as you prepare to join the professional workforce or to go ahead to grad school, you should be familiar with what is being done at the level of research. On this note, I would have to leave the rostrum and maybe call on Mr. Barry Howard and Ms. Kennedy Harris to present to us the speaker for the day. Thank you.
Dr. Zanis Bond earned a PhD in American Studies from the University of Kansas. She is currently an assistant professor of English here at Tuskegee University, where she teaches Southern literature with an emphasis on the Global South. Zora Neale Hurston's interdisciplinary work is an integral part of this literature course and inspired Bond to travel to Hamel, Haiti last summer, where she volunteered as an ESL teacher at a local orphanage. Dr. Bond is a 2015-2016 Woodrow Wilson Fellow and is currently transforming her dissertation, Race, Place, and Family, Narratives of the Civil Rights Movement in Brownsville, Tennessee, and the nation into a book manuscript.
She is also co-authoring with Ifeoma Nwako an essay on the Haitian diaspora and the Hispanophone Caribbean. Her essay, Small Places Close to Home, Gender, Class, and Civil Rights, work Mildred Bond, Roxborough, and the NAACP is included in Tennessee Women, Their Lives and Times, Volume 2, Beverly Green Bond, and Sarah Wilkerson Freeman. Last year, Dr. Zenise Bond, Assistant Professor of English, received a Fulbright Hays Grant, which took her on an academic adventure to the South American country Chile. During the month of July, she and a select group of college and university professors from across the country participated in the construction of Chilean identity, socioeconomic, political, and education reform summer seminar. Dr. Bond returned to Tuskegee, eager to share her new knowledge with students, faculty, and staff.
Please join us in welcoming Dr. Zenise Bond.
Thank you, Kennedy. Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. So really, you have come here not to hear me, but to hear my amazing students. As Kennedy and Barry have said, I was in Chile in July last year, and it was winter. And while I was there, I learned lots of things. And I was really, really excited to come back and share what I had learned with my students, because the joy of teaching is learning. Teachers are learners, lifelong learners. So hopefully my students, hopefully my students have enjoyed the class as much as I have. They probably haven't enjoyed it quite as much as I have, because I don't have a 20-page paper to write, but we do 15 to 20 pages without the work cited. But no pressure. But they're amazing students. They are creative. And what you'll see is how we have looked at writers and how writers have used their voices, their ideas, their creativity to talk about, promote, and encourage democracy. Now, if you don't know anything about Chile, just let me tell you a couple of quick things. You already know that if you go in the summer, it's going to be winter. And another thing that I learned that I didn't know is if you look at the Chilean flag, which is on here, it looks very much like the Texas flag. So if you leave here and you know that the Texas flag is a little bit different from the Chilean flag, hey, you're ahead of the game. Another thing to note is that for 17 years, a brutal dictator, Pinochet, we can say Pinochet, Pinochet, 3 different ways to say it, but choose one and just stick with it. He was a brutal dictator who was a part of a military coup, C-O-U-P, coup. And he was really, I hate to say this, but Nixon, President Nixon, was really happy about this coup. And this was an attempt to overthrow the Chilean president Allende, Salvador Allende, who was democratically elected. So keep in mind the oppression that the Chilean people were experiencing and how this oppression would help to contribute to ways, creative ways of combating oppression. Another thing that we kind of discovered in this class is that there are a lot of intersections between the U.S. and Chile, and more specifically, connections between African American existence and Chilean existence. You might see on the display outside, or on the little program here, this poster of Angela Davis that was a part of campaigns, human rights campaigns in Chile. And it's saying, free Angela Davis. And one of the great things I learned when I was there is the presence of, we talk about Black Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter in Chile. And they mattered in 1971 when Angela Davis was being
railroaded.
Okay, yes, thank you, yes. So anyway, I'm so excited to see the creativity, the energy, and the interpretation. Some people have been inspired to write poetry, and I don't want to, give it away. I'll just say thank you for coming and pay attention to the creative ways that people have used their voices to promote democracy. And one of the things, I believe Jason was a student who said, well, after this class, after studying literature and democracy, after talking so much about democracy, what do we do? What do we do beyond the classroom? How do we make a difference? We learn, we study, we get these great examples, and what do we do? So that's something we're not bringing the answer, but maybe in Q&A that we can have some great discussion, robust discussions. So I will go and sit in the back and let my students do their thing. Thank you very much for coming.
Good afternoon. I'm Elandra Williams. I'm a graduating senior and English major from Monroeville, Alabama. And today I'll be covering the homage to Mapuche. Okay. Before the nation of Chile existed, the land was inhabited by indigenous people. The Mapuche were among these Aboriginal people. In class this semester, we began by honoring indigenous voices, languages, and concerns, especially as they continue to write and protest against the erasure of customs and traditions within colonized and colonizing spaces. The poems we studied this semester came from two primary sources: Poetry of the Earth, Mapuche Trilingual Anthology, edited by Jamie Louise Hunan Vila, and UL, Four Mapuche Poets, edited by Cecilia Basuna. And as you can see, we have a visual of one of the books that we studied. Okay, and here we have that same poem that was on the previous slide that was in Mapuche, translated into Spanish as well as English. The opening lines ask, "What strange roots engendered you, mother? What miracle in the sky gave rise to your days?" We argue that the we, our voices and words, thoughts and ideas, and yes, our protests will become the miracle in the sky that will continue to give rise to our days. Thank
My name is Jason Bradley. I'm obviously a senior, graduated senior English major. I wrote a poem entitled "What is this land?" And this is kind of just questions that came to mind or kind of inspired me throughout the course. So, what is this land? What is this land? This land is brown, the dirt filled with red, built on the backs that left the free dead, and the dead freer than those who walk on it. What is this land? Those who run it make sure we feel the sweat from above as the heat rises below. Middle class is what most will know, and the 1% will grow, richer from war, illness, and legally enslaving folks. Social systems got a hold on you and me both. What is this land? A place that is not only shaped by water and tectonic plates, but the hues in your face because of race, yet we all want to win. The workers help the owners get rich, but they can care less when we're trapped in the holes they put us in. What is this land? This land is said to be for you and me, or is that a childhood fantasy? Battlefield or chess, nothing's better than us. It's how we managed to trap folks into believing that democracy was any different. Now it's hard to see the difference in our positions. Soldiers stand forward in attention, their lives on the line for whose mission? We revolt on speakers, but you don't listen. You kill our leaders as we stand in attention. Once the last speaker is gone, the people won't listen. What is this land? This land is a place where you can come up missing if any government official feels your views are any different. As they sit so high, they don't feel the distance, nor the difference in the tide shifting. They lack knowledge and leadership. We lack knowledge for believing it. With mind manipulation, who's really ignorant? And when the buildings come crashing down, they act like it's their first time hearing it. Whether underground bombings, but it's the Panthers that have folks fearing. Let's be honest, to the government and large corporations, we're the jokes. Even the natives to this land are in the same boat, and we're sinking slow. What is this land? This land is more chaotic than we know. Thank you.